I'd say if I had to find Pin Noir outfit like that little set, I'd go through that gate. I'd go through that gate in jeans with a football helmet and, just about anything else. Go through the gate. It's a journey. It's an adventure. Enjoy it, right? I don't think she's ever gone through, folks. What do you think? Hello, gatekeepers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you for the second time tonight. Don't know what happened. That one wasn't me. I looked up. We were live. Everything was playing great. I look over here at my phone and look at my other screen, and there's no live chat. I'm trying to figure out why there's no live chat. I'm going out and I'm refreshing. I'm coming back. I come back here and this chat's moving. I'm like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, as I'm looking at it, it goes back to broadcast studio, or it shut itself off, or something hit the screen. Now I do have a touch screen, so maybe the Christmas spirits are kind of getting started early this year. I don't know, but either way, we're already in the ditch, wheels up, so we might as well enjoy it. And if this young gentleman here, my accomplice for the evening, if he's ready, give me thumbs up. All right, don't want to rush you. All right, you found your way here.
Yeah, I was sitting back there backstage, and I thought, "What's going on?" I didn't have the YouTube side open, and then I saw you send me another link, and I came in, and the intro was running. So I've had computer problems all day too, but Mercury's not in retrograde yet. It's not.
I think spirits are touching the touch screens. Something touched me.
Maybe so.
Something touched me, Steve. I don't know what else. It's, let it gear up. Christmas spirits, I'm all for it. Full throttle, balls out. Let's roll it. Why not? It's spirits got to be anxious too, just like we are. So I don't know what's happening. I mean, I didn't see anything, move or anything like that, but I've been having like tech issues all day. I had it all set up, and as well as I do, with the amount of intro I have, I've got like 9 videos loaded up in order for a reason. Then I've got some other stuff, and then to start another screen isn't just lickety split.
Same thing happened to me today. I had a video I'd put together. I was going to have a premiere this afternoon, and took 3 tries to finally get it to where it plays. I've got it playing on the big screen here now, but it didn't make any sense. I did it the way I always do it, and it just the computer something didn't want to play along, and I just basically had to redo the whole thing, and then it worked.
How lovely behind you. Is this your tree? Is this the Stockton Christmas tree?
Yeah, Nicole did that.
Wow. Oh, look it.
There we go.
I see Frosty.
Can't see the top of it. We've got like 10 or 12 foot ceilings in here.
Just all the way up.
Candle in the window here and over here. There's snowman. There's wax burners and stuff over there in that corner. So it's snowman in the window there. But yeah, she did a great job, and I don't know if you can really tell or not, but it's got blue garland on it, and the ornaments are silver.
And the white lights.
It's white lights. It's gorgeous. First time I've had a tree in years.
Christmas tree.
So she did a really good job.
I'm surprised you don't have a. That's okay. That's okay. You already got your present, mister. You got Mrs. Stockton.
I did. Santa's got Mrs. Claus.
I hope it fit. I hope it fit. Can't send it back.
Perfect fit, like a glove.
I got mine too. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Oh man, I just don't even know. So it's wonderful news, but it's fast, but it's slow at the same time, and it's wonderful, and it's OMG at the same time. It's so I wake up yesterday morning and I get a thing, and it's not like it wasn't in the air. Keep in mind, but when it gets finalized, it's. So I get a thing on my phone on my way out the door, keys in hand to go to work. I get the announcement for my son's wedding. My oldest son, finally, they picked a date. She's getting them. And it is in 2 weeks.
Well, congratulations to the 16th babe there.
Wow.
It's been a good year for a lot of people. It has been for me.
They've been together since Valentine's Day. I want to say 9 years. 9 years. So they've been the gauntlet. They've only been engaged a short time, like just a little over a year.
Yeah.
But you know how to, so it's like, this is, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So it's just like all the scrambled things and what's important to you. Let's do it. Guess who's doing the flowers? Unprovoked solicitation at Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts, the
Dunkin'
official
Donuts and
coffee
Dunkin'.
of Monday
It's
Madness.
unsolicited endorsement. But
Unsolicited
if you're
endorsement.
listening, you want to give me some free coffee, say for a year or
Non-promoted, non-paid for,
lifetime,
not even a coffee
I'll
bean.
talk about it on every show I'm on. I practically do anyway.
Just send me a bag of the whole beans. I'll roast them myself. Somebody gave me some of those things. I'm telling you what, they're like peanuts. Have you ever had roasted coffee beans out of the
I
oven?
have. I like the espresso beans dipped in chocolate.
Oh,
The dark chocolate. And those
well,
are
you talking
simply
about a
delicious.
buzz. Can you see me the way I ground when I eat?
Eating espresso beans or coffee beans, even, yeah, you'd be bouncing off
I'd be bouncing.
the walls.
And I wouldn't even realize it till it was too late. Till I was already around the curve and it was just no turning back.
There goes Cisco. She's gone.
Yep.
Let her go.
Because when I'm like, especially if I'm creating, whether I'm making a funeral, an arrangement or a centerpiece or a bridal bouquet or whatever I'm doing, jewelry, I'm just constant. But that's a sign of I don't know if it's more, I don't know, Steve, what do you think? You think it's more empaths trying to block the energy and keep yourself focused? It's almost like the same thing as somebody doodling while they're learning something.
Yeah.
It helps them focus. But with us, I had a couple of I had somebody who was more of a, I would say, more Caribbean, voodoo, Haitian. They said they do that all the time. They call it's grounding. It's like a meditation for them because you're of the earth and you're taking in energy, good energy,
Not you're
And
going
I don't
to
even
eat dirt.
no. But you're taking in good energy. So if you're eating something like fruit or of the earth, that's even better. Grain and stuff like that. I don't know if
So
M&Ms
don't
count.
just eat the earth. Eat stuff that's grown out of the earth.
Right. I don't know if M&Ms count, but like if you put a bowl of peanut M&Ms for, I have
There you
held
go.
to
Peanuts. Peanuts
I have
are
not had one M&M since they went
peanuts.
wackadoodle.
They grow underground, don't they?
hmm
I
I grew
think.
peanuts when I was little once. It's pretty cool. Kind of do it in a mound, kind of like potatoes, and you pitchfork and you pull up all the peanuts are all hanging off then you got to roast them and we've forgotten how hard it is.
I don't like them. When I was in Georgia on vacation once for a couple of weeks, delicacy down there is boiled peanuts, and there's just something about that.
Yeah, and I'm
Too
not
slick
for
and
the
too
hot
slimy.
chestnuts either.
Yeah.
Like roasted
Peanuts, I like them
chestnuts
dry roasted.
roasted
I like salted.
on an
I
open
like
fire.
dipped in chocolate, but boiled, I'll pass. I tried them. I kept an open mind,
I
but
don't,
just
Steve,
wasn't
I'm
for
going to
me.
be honest. I'm going to let go right here on this show, right here, right now. I don't like the word boiled. There, I said it. I said it. That's probably one of my least favorite words. I don't know why. Just think of it, boiled egg. Does that sound appetizing to you?
Now,
Boiled
Derek
egg.
Galloway there says Cajun boiled peanuts. That might be different. I like anything Cajun flavoring.
That's because it's got spices on it. Now, spices
Yeah.
can change your mind.
But the boiled peanuts I had in Georgia, just pardon my language, but they weren't worth a damn.
Vixen Doe's always spitting the truth out here. She's spitting truth tonight. Grandpa always said you had to eat a pound of dirt before you died. Probably more than that. Some people, some of them, I think they're eating hand over fist. They're taking something. They're a legume. They fix nitrogen in the soil. See, again, it's also beneficial all around beneficial. Yep. Hey, Lee, how you doing?
Lee, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. AJK, I think AJK's on his fourth channel. Not giving up. Got back on the horse. Unsolicited provocation. Dunkin' Donuts coffee that tastes like coffee.
They know us by name. They'd probably come looking for us if we didn't stop in there or have it delivered.
You think? I got one right across the street. I don't think I've been there. Let's be honest. I've probably been in the building twice. Never been in the drive-through in 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts right in the corner. Right in the corner. On
Well,
the
here
right-hand side of the
you
road.
can't
It's
throw
not
a
even a
rock without
turn
hitting one.
around and
There's
go
a
on the other
Dunkin'
side.
Donuts across the street from a Dunkin' Donuts. You come out of Dunkin' Donuts. Boy, that was good. Now what I need is a cup of coffee, and you just walk
Another
across the
Dunkin'
street.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Another Dunkin' Donuts. So let me say hi to everybody in here. Anyway, I don't like the word boiled. I just realized that.
Don't say the word boiled.
Don't say the word boiled. Maybe it's the way I'm saying it. I've kind of got a little southern
Burled.
way. But
Burled peanuts.
I'm not quite burl,
Wild.
but I'm more like bull. Well, see, now I'm thinking about it. I can't say it. I'll just try to sneak up on myself and say the word without thinking about it to get a natural. But I think I have a little southern. It's got a little southern tail on it.
Got a little south in your mouth there.
We better get out of there, Steve. Right out. See, I thought I was working my way out the ditch, and
And I
Mr.
helped you
Stockton
right back in.
got a hold of me by the ankles and pulled me right back in. There we go. Just when I thought I was out, he pulled me back in.
Lit my candles there.
There you go. I think it's a beautiful tree, Steve.
It really is. She did such a good job.
We're gonna have a blast. I get to make my my tree, a Christmas tree out of wedding cake. I'm doing the wedding cake. I'm like, what else you want me to do? Want me to make favors? What do you want? It's like, here I am. This is my superpower. This is like going on vacation with Superman, not asking him to dodge a bullet or take you on a flying trip around. It's like, use me. You know what I mean? I've done more weddings than and my son's got to sneak it in 2 weeks. I'm like, that's a test of all tests. If you ask me, I'm in. Let's go. What's the theme? Where are the colors? What are the colors? What's the theme? Who wants to do what? Who doesn't want to do it? Give it to me. I got it. All right. Last call. I got that, and that. Just I don't want to get in anybody's way in case somebody else wants to do something. Very small. We're just doing zippity doo dah. But just because things are not huge, it makes it more intimate and it makes it more chance to have more meaningful things, and you get to spend more time with it.
We were planning this and that, and then finally we said, let's elope, and we took off to Rhode Island and got married.
You do what's important. You do what's important. Focus on that, and you get to sit and spend time. I cannot tell you how many weddings I've done, folks. Listen, I've done weddings to where I sat down with the bride when she ordered the invitations. I mean the invitations where they bring out the books and the envelopes have liners and the liners have RSVP cards and those cards have envelopes and that envelope has a liner and then holy.
And I had a friend years and years and years ago that got married, and I helped fill out the
invitations are $800
because I knew calligraphy and had a calligraphy pen set. So, it took forever. There was like 100 invites sent out.
That's the way it used to be. And everybody, you'd hire somebody to do the calligraphy on the envelopes and everything. I'd watch some of these girls, and this is going back 12 years because that's when I worked at this wedding place where it was a wedding plantation, and you could literally have 3 different weddings on the property, and the other wedding wouldn't know you were having. Well, they wouldn't. You wouldn't be bothered.
There's some
it was
like
a plantation.
Smokies, some wedding lodges where you'd have a different floor. Each wedding has their own.
This had a different section.
Place for guests and rooms for the reception and all that stuff.
And I'd see these girls come in and you get out the invitation books. It's like you're going in there and going through 100 years of somebody's family album or something. You're picking colors and fonts and all this. And I'm like, and I'd watch them. I watched one girl. It was over $8,000 just for the cake.
Wow.
Let me tell you something. Nobody eats the cake. Nobody tastes the cake. You've got your guests out there and they'll pull all the cake out of the fondant and leave it because believe me, I've seen it, And these people will sit there and they'll go to 4 or 5 different places and taste the cake and pick the filling. The bride and groom hardly get a bite of food in their mouth without shaking hands. And usually the bride's fainting because the anxiety, the champagne on an empty stomach, and the rushing around and the constant, it's so nuts. And they spend so much money. you know? So sometimes small and intimate is even better, and you get to spend time with some people, and you get to eat your cake, have a meal,
Have your
you know?
cake and eat it too.
There you go. I think it's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing whatever they need, and you know, I'm just I had to make a phone call my son this morning and had to promise him I wouldn't have like Marines paratrooping down with, you know, different things. I said I'll pull back. I swear to God, I won't do anything until you okay
Have
it.
have the flying Elvises come in and parachute out and
Yeah. I won't hire a van load of clowns or something else or singing what are monkeys in tuxedos or anything crazy. They've seen me do some weddings, man, beautiful, beautiful weddings where, I mean, the bathroom was decorated in but this is going to be, like I said.
one time I was asked to officiate a wedding. It's when I lived in Nevada, and you can join the Universal Life Church, and for a nominal fee, you can perform weddings. It's only good for that state, and I think you have to renew it. So I'm not.
Yep.
I mean, it's no different than going in front of justice of the peace. I mean, wasn't trying to lead a congregation or anything. It's when I had my photography studio. One of the girls that I worked with wanted me to marry her and her boyfriend, and they paid the fee for me to get the certificate, and I married him.
Yep. Yeah, $8,000 for a cake, dude. It was gorgeous, but they had sugar flowers that were almost look like glass, but they were made out of sugar, and these butterflies, and it was so many tears and all this other stuff. Smartest couple I ever saw come through there.
What about these people that have like a tropical wedding and they fly all the guests to Hawaii or something like that?
It blows
$100,000 wedding.
my mind. But I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, I mean, you've got that kind of money.
For a house.
I've seen people go into so much hawk trying to keep up with, I'm so proud I have people that are just practical and go, look, let's do it. And listen, I've seen some Christmas weddings like come off kind of gaudy. If you just let it happen, you can have the most beautiful Christmas weddings, really simple. And they're going kind of like a Victorian, natural, Christmassy kind of vibe. And it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Because, like holly and, burgundy roses, red rose, white roses, that kind of thing. And berries, lots of berries and greenery. It's going to be beautiful, So both my sons in a tie on the same day. Hallelujah. And I don't know why that's so important to moms. It really isn't to us. We're so laid back and casual. But, if you can see both your sons in a tie, and God bless us, it's not a sad occasion. It's a happy occasion. You can be happy about that. I guess it's like my mom she was extra happy if I ever put on a dress and went to school instead of dressing like a tomboy. It's funny how parents are. I guess they're different now, huh, Steve?
I guess so.
I'm thinking the way I guess I think some of us are still that way. We know the important things. We got smart. Life made us smart. Did we say hi to everybody? Did we catch everybody?
We got started, but I think we went.
And Edna, hello, love. Lee, I said hi to you. AJK. Vixen.
Retrospect.
Ted.
Vixen Doe. How you doing, Vixen? Another New
Derek.
Englander. Father Ted. Ted Branston's here.
Sapphire.
Who else?
Derek
Galloway. Sapphire L.
Unless somebody else sneaks in your Uncommon Beliefs in here. Hello, Uncommon.
D-Rock, how you doing?
D-Rock, hey baby, how you doing?
Yeah, I called him baby.
Is Scott here? Well, now I'm gonna call him baby all the time. And Lindsay
saying hi to people and reading something else. And
D-Rock, is it chilly there?
Nicole got a laugh out of that.
What's the temperature?
It's been kind of warm, but
where are you at? Is it? Yeah, that's right. Where? What's the temperature where you're at?
Let's see. Let me update my.
How about you?
Here. In my corner of New England, 37 degrees. It was, I think, 45 today.
It's 38 today. Here. Lord, I looked at it's 38 here. I don't like
it. It rained overnight, and cold plunge on the way for many. It says
wassailing.
The low this morning was 29. The low in the morning is going to be 24. But then Friday, it's going to rain, 48 degrees for high.
You know, Vixen, I read that and I just, for a second, I just smelled apple orchard. You know that smell? Those fresh apples we walk in. Oh, man. That was wild. I got like Scento vision there for a second. That's cool. Could do that again, Vixen. Do something really good. Don't put anything nasty.
Chat's popping here, but I think we got an uncommon belief is here.
Oh, negative 10 degrees Celsius. Oh,
Stay away. Where is that at? That's too cold.
Canada. Our love.
Oh, Canada.
Representative
Hey,
slice
well,
of our lovely
Lindsay. How you doing? Good to see you.
Our lovely Canadian brethren. Yes. Yep. Wow. Ooh. Beach knuckle guests had to arrange their own passage.
I think we said hi to everybody.
I think we did.
If we missed
just
you,
trying to read.
It wasn't on purpose. We're
having so many good comments. I was reading here. I hate winter too.
Yeah,
I'm not a winter girl.
The chat is just off the hook here. A lot of talking going on, a lot of bacon.
I was meant to be in front. If I'm in the winter, I'm meant to be in a log cabin somewhere with a big old rug, big pillows, and a fireplace. And
that sounds good.
A big old dog and several cats.
We've been
hot chocolate and a bottle of
property in
Comfort.
Maine. I'd like to live in Maine, out in the woods, in a cabin, as far away from people as I can get.
Who was it? Were you the one I was talking about? The mug that said, "I don't want to go outside. It's too peoply out there."
Yeah. And then Nicole and I both said that it's too peoply here.
I think that's why we enjoy this so much, Steve, because we can get in here with like-minded people and we can absorb the energy, give back. We have that interaction and stuff, but it's like-minded people. It's our tribe.
We can just turn it off like that, and then they're gone.
There you go.
But it's out there, it's on the other side of the screen there.
And it's different.
It's different if you got a room full of people. Now, I've spoken in front of crowds. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
I was at a UFO conference in San Francisco a couple of years ago. Spoke in front of 500 people. I didn't care. But I'd much rather sit here and chat with our community and family and friends.
Vixen said that we should check at the apple orchard to see if they have any wassailing going on because it's a time. Yeah, we do have a big one here.
We were going to go out to an orchard and pick our own apples, but I think we waited too late this year.
It says that's what wassailing means, to sing. Let me put that back up here. To sing to the apple trees to foster a good apple crop the next fall. How many different tribal things similar? It's just, again, Steve, I am overwhelmed with the amount of ways that so many people are alike, yet we keep trying to force all this different stuff. We need to go back to all the ways that we're so similar, to sing into crops, having good vibrations around apple trees or harvesting, crops. I mean, people didn't only sing working to give a cadence and kind of pass time and all that kind of stuff. They did things like they had hidden messages in them. They used them for all kind of coded kind of things, but they also did it because the vibration of that kind of singing not only lifted the human beings, but lifted the stuff that was growing around them. I mean, that goes around. You could probably dig into any tribal culture and get that kind of belief, Steve, because it's true. Because it's true, Interesting, right?
Yep, indeed.
So with all that said, tonight I was going to talk about, we're getting into the holidays and, the holiday spirit and all that stuff. And of course, you got that little play on word, holiday spirits. It just goes around at Christmas or whatever. But I had a little bit of those last night, and a couple of the stories. These stories have really been amazing. I mean, last week, that young girl who found the cross and, kept the cross. And the cross had so much energy put in it because this young girl was burning the cross, almost punishing. Like, I can almost see a young kid going, why is God allowing this man to abuse me and beat me? And my dad that was drunk, her mom died. I mean, a horrible energy in the house. You can, from all angles. And the amount that focused in on that natural wood object, this young girl burning that cross and then hiding it, and this other one finding it and having this overwhelming intuition to kind of stick with it until she could figure out what to do with it. There was something to
Yeah.
it that the energy must have been amazing. And then buried it in the cemetery and somehow released this young girl's spirit. It's an amazing story, holiday time or not. So last night I pulled a couple of just trying to look for the magic in things. We talk about it all the time, Steve. I think call it what you will.
And we touched on it a little bit on my radio show Sunday night too.
Remind me of that, Steve, because I know we were, but can you pull something out of that conversation where we were talking about it? We were talking about.
Let me think. We were just talking about how magical the holidays were, especially when you were a kid.
Yes.
And then how the adults went out of their way to make it magic for the kid and thus
True.
created their own brand of magic.
Exactly.
They knew that it was all a big show and a put on, but that was part of their magic that they used on the kids to make it magic for the kids.
That's exactly right. I remember you talking about the simple act of, you go back just a second and people ask all the time, like, why would you tell your child this about Santa Claus? Why would you, and I can understand where people are coming from with that, but I can also kind of tell that this person probably didn't experience a lot of magic and probably use a little magic in their life because they've become not cynical and jaded, but in some ways, calloused or practical. Sometimes practical, being too practical and cold and sterile and officey, clinical, that you're taking all the fun out of it. It's just like in the paranormal when they tried to do everything science and took all the intuition and feeling out of it when that's what it is.
Yeah.
The supernatural, it's like trying to taste an apple with a monkey wrench. That'll make sense later. But just think about it. It doesn't make any sense. So Steve and I were talking about the great lengths, like he just said, about what parents would go through to, whether it's hiding the gift. I told the story about how I once found a bicycle and I found it so hard to try to pretend it from my mom. I felt so guilty for accidentally finding a Christmas gift that I thought was for me. And I would stay awake at night worrying about this. Like I didn't want to look at the closet, I didn't want to give it away. I didn't want to hurt her, which I think was very cool. It's kind of like Gift of the Magi kind of thing. I didn't want to disappoint her. She didn't want to disappoint me. And somehow, I think it was 3 nights of absolute terror after finding this bike to get to Christmas Eve. And right before Christmas Eve, I remember actually getting the feeling when I was laying there in bed and got the epiphany of what if it's not for me and it's for my niece. And I'm like,
it wasn't for you, was it?
No, it was. So
it
was really, it was. But at that time, I thought, okay, I better really act now because I have to, if it's hers and not mine, I really have to act surprised and not look disappointed and surprised at the same time. And an 8-year-old
Merry
me,
Christmas, you got the bike that I wanted.
Yeah, the 8-year-old me didn't quite know how to psychologically sort that shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God, I was in turmoil.
And that's the other thing with Christmas. It's a psyop, and it teaches kids that a lot of things are psyops. Trust no one. Don't believe anything or anybody.
Be unpsyopable. That's what I'm saying. And if you want to strengthen that, like I said, go stand in the aisle at the grocery store. Don't read any magazine titles. Don't look at the covers. Don't buy a candy bar. Don't even look at the gum. Just buy one thing and go out and then do it again. And and pretty soon things will just bounce off you like Superman and bullets, same thing, because that whole thing is a psyop. Everything there, the National Enquirer with Bat Boy and
the way the grocery store is laid out.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in and it takes you in on the right hand side of the store. You're in the produce section. You go around by the meat section, and you wind through all those aisles. Frozen food on the far end, and then if you want to really do it backward, go in the wrong door and start to the left.
Go
and
backwards.
Go around the store. Yep, go backwards.
And they put
don't look at anything at eye level. Look there at the bottom of the shelf, or look up on top.
And it's why all of the stuff that's high sale items are in the back far corner, the furthest from the entrance. All your milk and your dairy,
And
your
if you
butter,
enjoy
your
going to
eggs, bread,
the
all of it.
casino is laid out to
Yep.
psyop you.
Yep.
The pattern on the carpet will be some kind of crazy quilt thing, but yet there's a path that's laid
Yep.
out through there. If you
Yes.
follow that, you go back in the casino. There are no clocks. You can't see outside. They don't want
Pump
you
oxygen.
to know the passage of time when you're in the casino. Have I been here an hour? Have I been here all day?
hmm And they
I'm
pump
having fun. I'm
oxygen in.
spending
They
money.
give you
Yeah.
free drinks.
Scents. A lot of those
All
casinos
your
in Vegas,
senses.
they have a patented scent that's only used at that casino.
Yep. How about that? How about that? That's crazy. Yeah, and you can literally sit in there for a longest time and come out and not have a clue when it is. You used to get that when you were young and at the bar, and you were in all night, and then you stayed in till the morning. Like if you were in a state that they stayed open to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you got to be an after party with the band, or you worked at the bar. You come out of there and it's the crack of dawn. You open the door and it's, oh my God,
Yeah,
it's like so bad.
there was an
Oh, it's so bad.
after-hours club in Vegas that I think it opened at 2 a.m. and stayed open till daylight. And I used to like to get a coffee and sit across the street and watch people coming out
Watch
of
'em.
that after-hours club with all their evening finery on, and it's daylight and they're squinting
Walk
their
of shame.
eyes. And yep.
Yeah, a walk of shame, all that kind of mess. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
No,
Walmart is a
what
psyop.
looked good under the neon in the dark of night does not look good in the bare glint of daylight.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Your hair's all messed up, or somebody, Oh gosh, oh, I'm getting a hangover just thinking of it. My God. But so I wanted to say this. So the best part about the magic that Steve and I were talking about when we were on his radio show was that you told the story of, we were talking about the cookies and milk, leaving for Santa, and your dad would sign the letter, write the thank
Oh,
you
he would
note.
write the letter and leave it
Yeah.
in. And it wasn't until I was much older, it's like, hey, Santa's handwriting looks a lot like my dad's handwriting. Got out the magnifying glass, did a little CSI there. By God, he wrote this note.
Yeah. I just think it's the sweetest thing because I can see your mom,
Your mom
going to get the paper and the pen
eat the
and
cookies,
hand it
drink
to
the
him.
milk, write the
Yeah.
note, and hurry up.
Write the note.
He's going to be up in 2 or 3
Put the
hours.
bicycle together, hide the bicycle. The magic quiet time that our parents had, or whoever our guardians may have been, whoever was doing this, putting the bikes together Christmas Eve and stuff like that, and having that kind of fun, having a glass of wine or their coffee or whatever it was, and trying to sort it and put the dollhouse together and all that. It's magic because you're trying to create a surprise and for your kids and for the people that you're doing this for. And it ripples through. That vibration of that magic ripples through. It started when your mom thought about it's time to get him to write the letter, or with me was, I tried to trick my kids. I wanted to enforce the magic one last time. They were getting older and they're smarter, and they're asking questions and things like that. So I had a big old dog named Oso. In fact, Rage is based off of Oso. This was an amazing dog, half shepherd, half chow, black as coal. And I went through the whole thing. I got the boots. I mixed up like some magic snow with some flour and baby powder and glitter and put it on the boots and made some faint footprints going out the door like it was Christmas snow. And I had in my sewing kit, I had some red felt left over for making PJs the year before, and red felt. And I took a jagged piece of it and I made a hole in it, made it kind of wet. And I walked up the stairs Christmas morning. I said, kids, you better get down here now. I'm not sure what happened in the presents. I'm not sure if they got mixed up. Looks like some kind of chaos happened with Santa last night. And I'm not sure what went on. You got to come help me. So, what? And I'm like, Santa's here. I see the footprints, but I found this red piece of felt and Oso's stuck on Oso's tooth. I think he got a piece of Santa's butt going out the door. He might have dropped your presents. Let's go look in the front yard, And I tousled some presents, to look like he was going out. And the whole thing, it was like they were both in on it. They were just for a moment in time.
Too, didn't you?
I did, with glitter in it. And for one brief moment in time, both of them were just like, like this. And, somewhere in the chaos,
Santa in the butt.
Yeah, somewhere in the chaos, my oldest just looked up at me and kind of just looked at me and smiled. He said, you did this. And I'm like, I didn't, you know, and just smiled, and he smiled back, and he knew, and I knew, and you know, his little brother, he kept it going for his little brother, which I thought was cool, you know. And now that little boy is getting married. Look at that. Talk about your Christmas magic, Steve. Ain't that
Yep.
something? Yeah. Yep. Nice. Very nice.
So they're getting married very near Christmas then, aren't they?
Yeah, like the week before.
Wow.
2 weeks from now. Yeah. It's like, hey, mom, plug in your hot glue gun. Here we go. I was like, I'm ready. Let's do it. You know, what do you want? Tell me what you want. You know, that's the only, you know, thing is like, I don't want to, you know, say, hey, do you mind if I do this? No, that'd be great. I'm like, okay. You sure it's not too much? Nope. Go right ahead. Knock yourself out. And I'm like, okay. You can hear my son in the background. She'll hire helicopters. I swear to God, they'll be dumping glitter and red rose petals all the way on the car, the whole way there if you let her. You know, I'm like, man, that's not a bad idea. I know people. I could get that done. You see that on the news? Helicopter drops glitter and red rose petals over car on the way to the church. You know, it's like, I'm sure I'm going to pay in New Jersey. There, you know, I'd probably need a permit. I'd get fined anyway. I'd be in court. I know I would.
Definitely. Leave
Jersey would find a way to get a piece of that mess. All right. So that's the whole thing, is about keeping the magic. Steve has wonderful stories about, you know, like the magic feather that showed up at Christmas and the lights. And I can think of many times around Christmas trees where I was just about to laugh because I was going to say had like magical experiences, but I was looking for another word. And then I remembered the time when I was in the Army where I invited everybody that I had a house off base. I had a place off base. I was married. And a bunch of people that couldn't go home for Christmas in the motor pool, all the guys. And I'm like, hey, dude, come over to my house. I'm cooking Italian. You know, it'll be great. We can stay there all day and, you know, watch the game, whatever. And I'll cook. And we all dropped acid big time. And all of us, you got a bunch of old tired soldiers laying around my Christmas tree in a big circle. It must have been something to see. Look under the Christmas tree, looking up through it, through all the lights. And every 2 seconds, just somebody said, man, that's so beautiful. And I'm like, I know. So, you know, you can imagine all these people later just stoned on her. But we had a great Christmas, though. We all ate and had lasagna. And I always did red and green, all Italian food. I fed everybody, you know, that wanted to on the base. It was I literally made enough food to feed an army, Steve. So there you go.
Yep.
But even too, that was magical, you know. I was young. It was a long time ago. I would never be able to survive something like that now. You'd have to bury me under that tree. But, you know, experiences, I think, happen around the holidays because we're thinking of the people and we're connecting into that love energy and things like that. It happens more, you know. My mom visited around Christmas. That's a great story. We can tell that one at Christmas time. But, you know, I think, too, that the miracles do happen all the time, you know, on an ordinary Monday, on an ordinary day. There's a story coming up here from a lady that's kind of experienced a lot of things that parents do, or grandparents, or anybody. I mean, even if you lose a pet, you can have this kind of feeling like, oh my God, where do I look? And she happens to lose her child for a short time in a crowd. What happens to her has happened to me, I got to say, at least 5 times in my lifetime, where you felt hands pull you out of danger and maybe even physically move your body and turn around to thank them and they're gone. I can think of at least 4 or 5 times in my life that that's happening, something similar to that. So is that an angel, a spirit guide, higher self, invisible man? You know, Steve, you've had these things happen to you.
Yep.
And it's amazing. And I would consider that, some people would say that was a miracle. You get pulled out from literally in front of a bus.
Miracle, that's a relative term, you know. It's like, especially something like that, but anything can be a miracle. It's like, it's been attributed to Einstein. I'm not really sure who said it, but he supposedly said some people never see a miracle. Other people see them all the time. And it's just
beautiful.
it's what your version of a miracle is. But I've seen a lot of miracles in my time.
Yeah,
Looking for more
absolutely.
all the time.
Have you ever felt physical touch by something that you could not perceive, like was there? You didn't see something, a person. You expected to see a person and nobody was there.
Person, animal too. I've felt cats and dogs rub up against my leg in the dark that weren't there anymore.
True.
I spent the night with a friend of mine back in the 80s. Slept in his spare bedroom. Middle of the night, his cat came and jumped up on the bed, curled up down at my feet. Next morning, got up, he's cooking breakfast. And I said, if you're looking for your cat last night, it came in and got in the bed with me. He looked at me and said, Steve, that cat's been dead 3 years.
Wow. Wow.
But he experienced it as well sometimes. And
Yep.
it's unmistakable. If you've ever had a cat get in the bed with you
Hmm.
and feel
Yeah.
that little
I've
that
had literally
rumble
had that
of the
happen.
purr, yep,
I had
felt a
that
brush
happen
up
with
against my
Simon,
leg in the dark.
and it was I want to say two days after 2 nights after he passed. I want to say it was, and when he passed, maybe week and a half before he passed, he was limping, and then of course it got worse as he went. So when he got on the bed, he would limp. You could feel the limp, and when he came back, he wasn't limping anymore. And I was like, and I didn't even turn around to see. I said, okay, but don't, he's going to be all right. I'll take care of him. You don't have to worry, because I knew cats and dogs come back for us, make sure we're okay. And I said, just don't get stuck. Don't stay. Go get your piece. Go chase butterflies till we get there, and he just curled up. You could feel him curl up. It's the same he has done every night, since I'd met him. But that night he didn't limp on the bed. That was pretty cool. And I've seen that multiple times with animals very quickly. I think people take a little longer. If you ever notice when you get those stories, the witness stories, where the person says, I woke up in bed and there was Uncle Harry, and he was just standing there and he was smiling, and he was in a hospital gown and there was light all around him, or he was dressed like normal, whatever. It doesn't have to be a hospital gown, but all these different descriptions, or Aunt Mary or whoever, grandma, and they sit up and it's like this amazing experience. They're not like screaming. They're like, what's going on? And then they hear something, a little message, I love you, I'm okay, or take care of yourself, or, don't forget to, feed the dog, whatever they're saying. And then they go, and the next day they get a call from a relative that said that this person passed. And then they remember they had this, what they thought was a dream or thought was a waking dream. And it turned out to be that this person went around and said goodbye to a couple of people. I think that's a little, when I say that people cross over and lose all their earthly burdens, usually with those visitations, like right after, like death announcements, if you want to say, like they're going around and say goodbye to everybody, they haven't completely lost earthly burdens, but you do hear that if they weren't walking or standing up and things like that, but I think it's just enough, and then they finish as they cross over. It's very interesting to think about that piece. It's like, because animals seem to have it instantly, people don't seem to have it till after they've been passed a little bit. Most mediums and psychics will say, don't sit down and want to talk to somebody until a good, like 3 months after. Give them a little time to settle, and give yourself time to settle, and then go, So there must be a reason for that, Steve.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just things to think about, But this first story, and it's about 10 minutes, Steve, if Mulder's got to go roll a cigarette or something.
I give him a hit of my
Did he
vape.
give up? Did he give it up, or is he smoking cigars again?
No, he switched to a pipe.
Hmm.
No, he
Little sweetie.
curious
How's he
about my
doing?
vapes, but he's doing good. He's over here asleep. He sleeps a lot. He's getting old
Bless
and
his heart.
cold up here, and he's short haired, so he's getting a sweater for Christmas. But don't
Like
tell
I
him.
said, order him. Go to Chewy and order him one of those plug-in electric. It's basically a heat pad for dogs. It does an amazing thing for older dogs. I can speak from experience, fostered many, had many. It does the same thing as electric blankets do for us. It kind of changes the air. It dries the air around them so their joints don't swell as much.
Yeah.
The warming blankets or warming beds or soft, that's cool too. But the heat, actual heat, that does change the joints and the inflammation and stuff on them. Shark cartilage isn't bad too, along with cat's claw, because I gave all my pets cat's claw, but we'd have to talk about dose and stuff like that and weight. But it does help. And you can tell by how quick they get up afterwards. You know how like they get up a little slower when just like us, slower getting out of that bed in the morning. My knees crack so much it scares the cats.
Snap, crackle, pop.
But same with them. So when something's working, they get up a little faster, they chase the ball a little longer and stuff like that. You can tell it's working. So we got all kinds of things we can do to make Mulder just like a kid again. in a lot of ways. All right, so this first one has more to do with, like I was talking about with Steve, the actual physical hands-on feeling that you get from something that you don't see is there. So very interesting that you can sense it with some of your senses, but not all of them. You might smell something, or you might, you definitely feel something. The times that it happened to me, in all the times that I can think of right now that it's happened to me, it's always shocking to expect somebody, somebody's there. It feels like somebody's there. Like I said, you can smell them or hear them, almost hear them breathing, and you have that presence. You turn and you feel something, you turn around and nothing is there. That's pretty stunning. But when it comes in a time of emergency, I think you get this. It almost also comes with a comforting warmth. Steve, you've had that too. Oh, yeah. It's like where you should have been scared. You didn't get that adrenaline fear. You got a
didn't get scared till afterwards. And it's like, right. What was that?
It's so true. So true. So this young lady, I think she tells it pretty good. She also has an interesting little incident in her bedroom with a rocking chair, and I thought it was kind of interesting. We'll stop it and get Steve's take on it, but it's interesting all around. So let's give it a look. Ready, Steve?
Yep. Roll that beautiful beat footage.
There we are.
Step away for a moment, but I'll be
Go ahead, sweetie.
I'll be right back.
Go ahead, sweetie.
And then I heard and felt footsteps in the room coming in through the door and walking past the bed, and I couldn't see anything. I've never, ever, ever been so scared in all of my life, except for when I lost my son.
I remember one day just being in the church, just playing, and I sort of had this feeling that somebody was with me. What does that mean? Like, why was she there?
I felt like I was a very spiritual child in terms of the church and things like that. Like, we were Catholics, but we weren't sort of hardcore at all. But I had like a little statue of Jesus that I used to pray to, and I really felt very connected for some reason, even though my family wasn't all into that.
What happens to religious faith when you think you've seen something supernatural? Today in Ghostly Encounters, we'll meet a man and a woman who have lived that question. Hello, I'm Lawrence Chow. You know, when a lot of us were growing up, you just didn't miss church on Sunday. But today's world is spinning a whole lot faster, and faith, for people of many religions, is often put on the back burner. But sometimes a brush with the supernatural can revive a faith lying dormant. As a young mother, Carolyn had nightmares about losing her children. But when the nightmares turned real, she had a spiritual experience that she'll never forget.
My sisters and I took all our children and we collected them and we took them off to the PNE, which is the exhibition in Vancouver. And the day we went happened to be Children's Day. I had Connor, who was 3, and Brendan, we were pushing in the stroller. Connor was very, very interested in the motorcycle ride. You know, he absolutely loved it. So we let him do that. And then off we went on our merry way. The baby was in the stroller and Connor was right beside me. And then he wasn't. And I said, Ginny, where's Connor? And she said, Kathy, where's Connor? And none of us knew where he was. And we each thought the other was watching him. I will always, always, till the day I die, remember the panic that just flooded through my body. I just started running. And as I'm running towards him, I'm getting more and more scared because I'm thinking about what if he isn't there? Then what? I don't know what my next move is. I don't know. And I got to the motorcycles and he wasn't there and they hadn't seen him and they didn't know who I was talking about. And so I started to run as fast as I could run. And I ran out of the little kid playland area and then I started calling that God. And I don't know if the face was in my head yet then or not. I don't think it was. But I just started calling, help, 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 help my little boy, help me find my little boy, help me find my little boy, help me find my little boy. And I swear to God, the weirdest thing happened. It was like I hit a wall, like an invisible force field. Boom, like a big hand came out and just went and pushed me here and just went, stop. And I dropped to my knees and I started to pray. And I was in the middle of the PNE with thousands of people around me, on my knees on the pavement, crying my eyes out and saying, help me find my little boy. And this thing just took this hand, took my head and turned it. And there he was. And he was 20 feet away from me. And he was all alone. And there was nobody near him either. It was like we were the only two people in the world. And he was standing there crying quietly. And if that hadn't stopped me, I was going that way. And I wouldn't have seen him. And I wouldn't have found him. And I ran over and I grabbed him and I hugged him and I loved him. I think there are many names for God, and people might call it their name, and they might say it was God, or they might say it was an angel. I think it was one of God's angels. That's the face that I can put to God.
Angels are believed to have no freedom of choice. They are merely agents of God's will. The exception is Lucifer, the fallen angel. In Milton's Paradise Lost, Lucifer chose to reign in hell rather than serve God in heaven. So if angels do God's bidding, it's not surprising to hear that Carolyn feels God directed an angel's hand to help her. But before that day, there were years when Carolyn wouldn't even say God's name.
I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. I had a really horrific thing happen to me when I was a teenager. It was a sexual assault is what happened. And I didn't tell my mom and dad, and I didn't tell anybody until years later, you know. But at the time, I didn't tell anyone. Yeah, and so because I didn't tell anyone, I was alone with it. And you start to develop a sense of your own self-sufficiency, and you trick yourself into thinking that you are capable of dealing with it. Because I was a very capable person. I was quite bright, and I could do things, and I thought, well, and this I can also do, and so I isolated myself from everything, from everybody, and from God, from that face. And I stopped talking to him about things.
Carolyn turned away from God after going through that terrifying ordeal. She found her way back to him on the midway because she felt he answered her cry for help. That renewal of faith convinced Carolyn she wasn't alone and that she could now confront her attacker and send him to jail 16 years after the assault. But as she re-embraced her faith and prepared to go to court, the attack took on new resonance and challenged her faith yet again.
My head was into, okay, in a month I have to go to trial and it's going to be horrendous and they're going to tear me apart and blah, blah, and I have to relive this whole horrible ordeal. And as I'm thinking about that, all those old feelings are coming back of I'm worthless and not worth loving, So yeah, vulnerable. I guess that would make me vulnerable to all kinds of things. It was very late at night. And then I heard and felt footsteps in the room.
I just want to stop it here and let you guys know that this story is so good at full circle. It touches on stuff that we've touched on this, in the studying the paranormal. And we've had to say, you've had Lynn Monet, you've had Claire Broad, you've had Katie Turner. So many people come on here. Rob Guttrow tell you that one of the sad things is usually people that have abuse or something like that happens, that trauma can open up. That negativity brings negative. So that is a valuable lesson to know. So reach out to those people, put extra protection around them, whatever. If you know somebody, you always ask, what can I do? What can I do? The situation. You run through it. You can always throw protection on them. Always throw light on it, because this lady's about to tell you how she looked back over her journey and she found those little places. And it's very wise what she's saying, because it has to do with what happens to people, trauma, a breakthrough, addictions, all kinds of different things can open stuff up and make you vulnerable. She's about to tell. Steve, did you have anything on that you want to throw in? I'm pretty sure you agree. Am I close?
Yeah. There's nothing really that I could add to that would make it any better.
All right. Well, here we roll.
Coming in through the door and walking past the bed, and I couldn't see anything. I felt this sense of creeping evil that became overwhelming evil. I could feel it in my pores. I could feel it all around me. It was this, there is something unspeakably evil in this room right now with me. And then the chair moved as if whatever it was had climbed into the chair and rocked it forward and then rocked it back. And there it sat. I felt it watching me. I felt it sitting there, and I didn't ever see it, but I felt it sitting there in the chair that it had climbed into, and it was watching me, and I felt its eyes sort of boring through my head, and through the covers, watching. I've never, ever, ever been so scared in all of my life, except for when I lost my son. And so I huddled under my covers, and then I came up for peeks, and then I started to pray, And it was that old prayer, the help me prayer. Help me, help me, help me, help me. And then on my next peek, the curtains did a little move, and I felt it leave. It sounds weird, which is why I hesitate saying it, but I feel like it was something that felt that I was at a vulnerable point, and that maybe I could be attacked. Again, I asked for help, and I got help, and that's why I left. I mean, because I didn't do anything except say, God, help me, help me, help me. You know, I didn't string out garlic or do any of the things people do, right? But something compelled it to leave.
I just said, that's so pretty. And I put that up there, Steve, because of the what you told me about your dad writing the letter to Santa. And my mom did it too. And she used to we used to put out carrots for the reindeer. That was one of my favorite things. You know, we didn't have all the other stuff. And she ate them, and she drank the milk, or she would leave a little bit, and you know, she'd eat some of the cookies and all the extra things that they did, the little magical things, you know. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there to do it, not just at the holidays, but you know, so why not? Why not?
Yep.
Because, you know, for any age, you know, magical stuff. Meaningful. I think we need to get back to that meaningful thing, you know, and I think a lot of us try to do it too. I remember when gift cards came out, and I know it sounds funny, but to shift to gift cards right now, but somebody mentioned them the other day, and I thought about it when they first came out. The big controversy about it was that it made everything less meaningful, that it was a cop out. You just gave somebody a $10 gift card for something or whatever. Why don't you just hand them $10 bill? And of course the debate would be that they come back, well, see, that's the thought. You know, he goes to McDonald's all the time. I got him a McDonald's one. Or he goes to, you know, bass fisherman, whatever, and I got him that, or, you know, whatever, Walmart, you know, Dunkin' Donuts. So that was the big debate back and forth, that, you know, it took too much of the feeling out of a physical gift, but it made things so easy and convenient. And I think that's how they get us all the time, the easy and convenient, because now you got 7-Eleven instead of Mr. and Mrs. Smith's on the corner, you know, that's been in their family for, you know, 30 years. They came over on the boat, you know, and they knew just how you like your bologna sliced, you know. It's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. And, you know, you were supporting them, and they put their kids through. That was back when they could put your kids through college and have a house and, you know, all that other stuff. Things have really shifted.
Gift card right there.
There's one. But, you know, I'm not saying they're bad. Don't get me wrong. There you go. See, that's great, right? How cool.
See, they knew I liked Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah, and that is thoughtful.
And it was on a box of other stuff. Orphan Annie, I don't think she's here tonight, but she sent us a huge box full of all kinds of stuff, and that was in the envelope that was attached to it.
How nice. You know, I'll tell you what, our listeners, man, they can be very sweet. I've had such things happen. It's always a lovely surprise. So, but again, I'm not saying gift cards are bad. My whole point is, as I remember back then, what is that, a couple of decades now, gift cards came out. And
yeah, probably.
But they had a point too when they said that you take the feeling out. It seems like everything wants to take that contact, that physical,
and now
social
you don't
contact.
have to buy a gift card. You can email a gift code,
mm-hmm.
And I've done that to family members before.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know what you want. Here's a gift code. Go buy yourself. Go pick yourself up.
Happy birthday. Here's the code. Yeah.
Let me know what you got yourself.
But we were saying that too on the radio show about handwritten cards, handwritten letters, a handshake.
That's
an eye-to-eye conversation.
Putting pen to paper. That's a lost art.
Social event, you know, fellowshipping, you know, around a good old casserole and some, you know, I don't know, cold beer. I don't know. Keggers, fire around the fire, people meeting around the fire. We're human nature is to, to gather, in a lot of ways. And to push away from that and to get all this separation from everything. And I'm saying, reach in there and find you some magic. Do a couple little things, because I think it comes back on you, makes you feel good, makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, But this lady right here, the way she was able to put it together and say, look, I went through trauma. I tried to do it on my own. It became such a thing, psychologically and, physically, and, it affected the relationships and her family and everything else. And she was vulnerable. And this thing came in almost like it was invited or saw a way in, this is what she said. We don't know for sure if that's what it was, but it makes sense. And then her faith was, again, yet another story where her faith, something drove it away, story after story after story. You have to say, you have more evidence for it than against it, right?
Yeah.
So there you go, Steve. I mean, I thought it was a great story. Really something else. This next one, now, I think the next two have like a Scottish theme to it, about people that came from Scotland and brought their lore and their culture and their myths and everything. So there's a little bit of both in both of these, I believe. But let's see what happens. Steve, you ready for another one?
Yeah, roll it.
There we go, baby. This again is about 10 minutes. This is a little weird. I'm not really sure where the guy's going with this one. I don't know what the ghost really is. If it's a ghost or a guide, I don't know. You guys tell me.
I think she got help because she was ready to receive it. Her Catholic background made her open to the idea of spiritual beings in the world. Catholicism is one of the Christian streams that still embraces such a belief. Eric Robertson didn't grow up Catholic, but he was raised in an environment that allowed him, like Carolyn, to believe in spiritual beings.
All of my family were involved in some way in the book business. They were publishers, they were binders, they were proofreaders, they were all sorts of things. So I was surrounded by all manner of books when I was a child. And for some reason, there was a series of books that came from the 1880s by the people that had been involved in the Society for Psychical Research. So I read all sorts of things about apparitions and thought transference and early hypnotism and that sort of thing. So that's always of extreme interest to me. I come from a background in Edinburgh, the spiritualist movement is very, very strong. My aunt was a spiritualist and attended the Spiritualist Society in Edinburgh that was founded by Conan Doyle. In Scotland, a lot of these things are taken for granted, and taken for granted in a good way, in a, I'd say, childlike, naive way, in a way. It just, these are things that can happen, and yeah, sure. And if you believe that, they do.
The spiritualist movement offered communication with the dead, and it was understandably popular in post-war Scotland. But Eric's passion lay in another direction. As a boy, all he wanted to do was play the organ, and that devotion led him into some frightening situations.
In the place that I did most of my practice, I would cycle to this church at night and park my bicycle in the graveyard. And then I'd have to go and get the key from the manse, which was across the graveyard. I would get the key, and I had to come back through the graveyard, back into the church, and find the only light in the dark by feel. I had to feel along the walls, find out where it was, and then get the organ on and start to practice. And all of the time looking into a black void all around me. All I could see was the music about a foot beyond, and then a black void. And that sets up a certain number of feelings. One is fear, which you constantly try and downplay it. My desire to play the organ was so strong that I was able to overcome that fear while I was playing. The hardest part was coming into the church, and even harder than that was going out. I always felt that I had to go real fast and get out of there quick, back into the graveyard. And so essentially the feelings I had when I was really young were feelings of fear, combined with feelings of total exaltation. I mean, being a 10-year-old boy, being able to do whatever you wanted on a huge instrument was just, it's amazing. And I mean, I just no other way to describe that.
Despite his fear, Eric kept playing the organ. Eventually, his dedication brought him to Toronto, where he became known as one of the best organists in the country. It was there that the unseen specters he'd feared as a boy finally took shape.
I remember one day just being in the church, just playing, and I sort of had this feeling that somebody was with me. It's not an uncommon feeling, because if you're in a big building, you like to know if somebody's with you. Anyway, this one day, it was actually during the day, I was just sitting there, and I was positive somebody was there, but I was supposed to be alone. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see somebody sitting in the gallery of the church. And I was playing straight on, the gallery was off to my right, and I eventually turned my head, and then it went away. Like, it was just because sometimes you get these little things out. I started playing again, and eventually I looked up again, and I found that if I didn't look, I could just kind of look ahead of me. I could just see it peripherally. And it would look like an old person. But I discovered if I looked at it, it would go away. And I thought, that's really weird. And I was starting to feel a little strange, actually, because I'm getting this sort of prickly feeling on my neck and just feeling uncomfortable a bit. And I discovered that if I didn't look at it, it came back. And this person, I had the feeling it was an old lady, looked like an old lady to me, who appeared to be wearing just sort of not normal clothing, just sort of something. I think sometimes when we think we're frightened, I'm not sure that we actually are. I think we're just experiencing something important, or something that's got a real rush to it, And I think that's an important distinction. So I think when I felt what I thought was frightened, I think it's more complicated than that. I don't think it's just, somebody's chasing you with a cleaver or something. That's terror. This is not fear, is not terror. It's an awareness that something significant is happening.
Just want to stop it real quick and point this out. Why is the peripheral vision so much different than the head-on straight up? Now, I know there's a difference, but I'm not a scientist. But it's so important. It comes up so many times. I saw it out of my peripheral vision. You see what I mean? And it's happened to me multiple times. Has it happened to you? And if you don't really look at it, you can catch it for a little longer. It's, wow. It's true. Think about it.
Often those who think they've seen a ghost deny it. They're afraid of being called crazy. They have what our psychotherapists call a strong adult ego state, the so-called thinking mechanism. Rather than deny it, Eric tested his adult ego by asking for more evidence. He told the apparition to bring it on.
That was the first thing I did when I went back, and I had to look up in the gallery and see if she was still there, because she wasn't. But started thinking more and more about what does that mean? Like, why was she there? Like, why would that happen? Just that doesn't happen. I mean, why? And then it happened again, and this time I thought to myself, this is not scary anymore. This is interesting. This is really, really interesting. And I just went through the same process again, but not with the same degree of wanting to look. I just kept on playing, and I got the impression that I was with somebody and that somebody was with me, and everything was okay. I had a really strong feeling of not being alone. She's wise and she's friendly. I think she's friendly. She's certainly powerful. She's completely silent. Completely and utterly silent. It's like being in a vacuum. It's like being in a recording studio with nobody in it. It's just dead. There's just nothing happening at all in the air. Nothing. Got the feeling that everything sort of went quiet and stood still. It's an envelopment of quiet. I can stay doing what I'm doing, and she'll stay where she is. And in terms of feeling, I do get a feeling. I get a feeling of I guess a feeling of warmth. There's a feeling of safety, actually, in a funny sort of a way. The one thing about this whole thing that kind of I find upsetting is I can't talk to this person. I'd love to actually talk to her. Maybe I will. I don't know. I so far, she's not available. She's inscrutable. She's totally quiet, and she's totally distant, and totally focused. Totally focused on me. There's always a reason for her being there. She doesn't just show up. There's always something that I just in progress, or something's going to happen or something's not right. It's that premonition that things are going to be all right. But you got to take care of things. It's not going to be all right if you keep on doing what you're doing. Things have to change. And it's a message. She's sort of a message.
Many religions, including some Jewish and Christian groups, steer away from the spirit world. There's a fear that when you open that door, evil can come in with the good. But as Carolyn and Eric's stories show us, accepting the idea that there are spirits can have a positive impact on faith. Carolyn needed the God she'd known as a child. Eric needed the reassurance that there is life beyond what we know here on earth, and both found their faith was made solid as a result of their encounters with the supernatural.
I am absolutely convinced that I'm not alone in this world. From that, I'm absolutely convinced of it. There is another part to life. There's another stream of life, and I can feel being in it, and I can feel being out of it.
I have an absolutely unshakable faith in God, and that's cool, and that stays with me through any amount of turmoil and any amount of things that could possibly cause me to question his presence in my life and his power and the power of these angels. Anything that could ever cause me to question that, I just go, nope. You know what? I know, because I lived it, and I'm not given to flights of fancy at all.
Right there with her. That's so pretty. Look at that. Pretty lantern. Yeah, man, I'm right there with her. And now his story, I love the way in his reaction to the whole thing. First off, his reaction to the whole thing and trying to catch it and understanding that if he just stays still and continues to do what he's doing, he can kind of sort of out of his periffs get, catch a little bit of it and have a little bit of a description, but he can't really communicate. He looks and she's gone. He gets up and it's been a while and it's happened a while, and over time he's, but interesting, he says he's not scared. Of course, it's not terror. It's not fear. In fact, he feels warm and almost protected, secure, right? So you could guess this, is it somebody a musician that enjoys the music, somebody who just enjoys the music and is there to hear him play? Is it a spirit guide? His spirit guide that's there, and he's in his moment and he's resonating this energy because he's so in tune with his soul when he's doing this, that his spirit guide wants to show up and just revel in that because they care about you. Is it that? Is it an ancestor? When I was watching the story once, I looked through it and I thought, what if it's an ancestor of his that was also a musician, and this is where his talent comes from, and this person can also be a spirit guide to this man, and could be anybody he's related to or otherwise. So many different possibilities here. It doesn't just have to be a ghost that shows up that's stuck in the church. You see what I mean? There's so many different ways that could branch out, but the very coolest I think about the whole story is the way he approached it and the way he feels about it now. They do latch on. From Scotland, I don't know Vixen Doe. I don't think I have no clue who it was. I'm just, spitballing. But he was talking about his upbringing. I believe the Scottish flavor in this was where he was from and how he was raised had a lot of the Scottish culture in it because that's where his people were from. And so he always believed in, he got a good dose of the idea of spiritualism, and the possibility of all the lore and, you know, supernatural. So it was not hard for him to accept what was happening to him because he had kind of had that flavor throughout his childhood. And I think he brought up Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and how he had heard all about that growing up as well, and the fairies and all that kind of thing. So he was like open to this, you know. He wasn't like, I don't believe it. I know nothing about this and I don't believe in ghosts. He was kind of, it was almost like paranormal supernatural was like a warm bath that kept getting warmer as he grew up. He had a little bit all the way through. And I think that's important. Hear that a lot in stories where it's like, I was raised in the, in this culture. So I was open to this, happened to me, I was raised in a wild, weird mixed nut kind of way, and I kind of kept the stuff close to me that was close to me. But there's a lot of other influence in there, and a lot of it very cultural, very mixed bag, Italian and Native American and several different types of more focused tribal, um, tribe specific kind of stuff too, but different ones. And Scottish. And because of my sister, she's got mostly Scottish in her. She's my half sister, and she married an Irishman. So, but they lean more Irish because of him, Steve, what did you what's yours in your background?
Scotch, Irish, Cherokee, and English.
Okay, so there you go. In several of those, it's very spiritualism and at least the possibility of the supernatural and all that is in the culture. Several of those, and so, but tradition, as you're being raised, is absolutely going to have an effect on your outlook when something like this happens to you, right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
If you're never, you were open, you were raised in several, a mixed flavor there too, but everybody was very loving and open to it, even more matter of fact. Like your grandmother was very matter of fact, like mine was. Like, this is how it is. There wasn't any questions on, as far as does it exist, does it happen, is it natural, or anything like that. Those kind of questions weren't on the table. It was a given, right?
Yep.
See, same. So, and the same with my mom, but not as, it wasn't on the table much, but when it was like, oh yeah, these things happen. But I was still getting, they can't hurt you, but they can make you hurt yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
We didn't get deep in it, it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of multi-leveled. It was just some things were matter of fact and other things were, well, that's a little crazy. You know what I mean? But there was always a line, that's funny. And the really, really scary stuff, they're just, it's there, but we keep that in the closet, way behind the Christmas decorations in the back, it's like, it's there. We just don't talk about it, but, you have to tell people it's there, prepare for it, like this guy. And he had a great experience with it. You know what I mean? I just think it's cool. It's interesting. Human nature is interesting on how the response to these kind of spontaneous events, that are so profound, and then they come away from it. Like some people running and screaming and they miss the whole picture. And it's just like, oh, that place is haunted and I never want to see it again. Or, I don't want to talk about it. They get nothing from it but fear, I just think it's interesting that other people can kick back and go, no, hang on, play out the tape, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens next, let's see what's going on. Let's sort it out. I think it's very, very cool that we're finally at that level. We can do that. It's kind of cool, Steve, that we can do that now. And we saw it in our lifetime, You know what I'm talking about, you know, and being even, I'm hesitating here because here's the thing. You and I had similar but different in the upbringing, you know, experiences. Yeah, I came, you know, hot and heavy constantly from a young age, for sure. What the difference was is how the people around us, God bless you, or whatever the hell's going on there. Do we need to call 911? That looked bad. Are you okay, Steve?
Yeah,
Take
swallowed the
take
wrong way. Got
Oh my
choked.
gosh. I know it's awful when you're choking and people ask you a question. Are you okay? And you're like,
Yes, I'm good. Ah. Yeah,
and then
just a
the only thing that can
mess of
save you,
shape
they
and
make it the
swallow.
hardest word to say when you're choking. Heimlich, you know. How you gonna say that when you're choking? Anyhow, I'm glad you're okay. Good to have you
Yeah,
back, Steve. I just think it's interesting. It's always been interesting to me, the human condition and the character and how we react to certain events and how different people react to them differently. You know what I mean? I know that sounds psychotic, probably is, but you know, it's so different. We're so similar up to a certain point where it's the people around us were different.
yeah.
And, you know, and I had a lot of them. I was blessed enough to have a crazy life where I got to meet a lot of people, you know, at short amount of time, like, you know, hip hop around like crazy. And my mom moved a lot. It's a long story. Just trust me. It's true. I mean, multiple schools, multiple this, multiple that, multiple towns, states, crazy things. And in and around there, all these different people. And, you know, as a kid being raised, you know, in different households and stuff, all that different culture, I could never speak about this to anybody. Although I have to give credit, my aunt and uncle in 1976, 77, when did Amityville Horror come out? We went to the mall at Christmas time.
Now there's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Warms the heart
we
to watch the
Amityville
Amityville Horror.
Horror. Well, no, see, this is the one time I could ever remember my family, my aunt and uncle. My uncle was so Italian, and he had the what were those rain hats that were so big back then, Steve? Totes, totes rain hat.
Yeah.
They
They
were like
rolled up
plaid.
or folded up and you could
Yeah, but they were like a
carry it in your
fedora,
back pocket. Yeah.
but plaid, you know, those, you know, so he had one of those. And, you know, when he put that hat on, you were going for a ride, or a field trip. You know, you never knew where you were going to go. One time we wound up in Gettysburg, one time we wound up here, but it happened rarely, but enough to remember.
Legend of the traveling hat. Anytime you put the
Yeah,
hat on,
we
something's
were
going to
going.
happen.
He did wear it at work. He had his uniform on. He was a TV repairman. He was a guy who had the van with all the ladders and shit, because he's climbing on your roof, fix your antenna, remember?
Yeah.
Or he's fixing the tubes in the back of your big old Zenith. You know, that was my uncle. Fantastic, hardworking man, hardworking, honest dude. You know, just salt of the earth. Anyway, he he didn't wear the hat when he worked. He only wore it when he was going for a ride or taking my aunt shopping. You know, which the dreaded hell of all hells for my uncle. So anyway, he took us all Christmas shopping. This happened once, and we went to the mall. And it was like the week before Christmas. And Amityville Horror just came out on hardcover. And they asked me what I wanted. And we walked past a bookstore that had 2 stacks of Amityville Horror hardcover edition the week before Christmas. And I said, I want that. And it was so funny because, listen, you have to understand their position. My mom had passed, and I had only been with them like about a year and a half. And God bless them, you know, all around, across the board. But I'm trying to make the impression that I'm not weird. And here it is the week before Christmas. And to their credit, they bought it for me. And that book scared the living heck out of me, Steve. That's, you know, it's a great memory, because it's, you know, like you're reading the book. And that's the one I told you that I would like get to a certain point and I'd finish reading it and I put it outside my bedroom door and close the door and it would be in the hallway.
Yep.
And it'd be in the hallway outside my bedroom door. I wouldn't sleep with it in my room. It's so funny because now, as an adult, I look back and I never thought of this, as a dumb teenager, the look on my aunt's face when she got up Christmas or whatever morning to go down and make the coffee and start breakfast, and we had to walk past my bedroom door and look down, saw that book, The Amityville Horror, outside she must have been ready to call the people in the white coats, because they didn't none of this, they were, upper middle class, East Coast, hardworking, you know what I mean? This kind of stuff would scare the hell out of them, and here they're walking by and I got that outside my bedroom door. Like, what's going on? It wouldn't be like if one of us walked by, we'd get a chuckle like, yeah, I can see she didn't want to sleep with that shit in her room, and they probably thought I was nuts, which I probably was. I've always been batshit crazy. So anyway, our last one here, we'll finish up, but I just think it's interesting the way people react to certain things too. I thought he had a very good reaction to it all. And that's a pretty lantern, I gotta admit.
It is.
Oh, this guy. This is so weird, Steve. You're gonna love this one.
London, Ontario.
It's a little different. Sorry about the sound.
Career at General Motors in Oshawa. And during that time, I worked also for my father as a private investigator, security officer. I also was involved in politics for 6 years. The story starts in 1987. My father-in-law came to me with a proposal to purchase some property in Dominica. Dominica is a self-sufficient island between Martinique and Guadeloupe. It's predominantly Catholic. It's a very beautiful place. It's has a great history. One day I decided to go down to Dominica, and I decided to renovate the property. And that property was in a very desolated part of the island. Not really too many people went down there. Nobody went down there after dark. Never. It is so well etched in my mind that it was like yesterday. One of the guys that I was down with, Clive, this is a story that we talk about. It was a very dark night, but it's very clear down there. And approximately 100 yards away from us, we noted a light. And at first it was stationary. We didn't see any car lights come down. Nobody comes down there. So that was pretty strange. And tried to figure out, well, what might this be? And then the light started moving. It started to move along the bottom part of the bay and into the bush. We didn't hear anything, and we couldn't see a form or anything like that. And we knew at this time there was something very, very wrong with the situation. That this is not a reality. This is something much, much different. The light started moving, and we never saw anybody or anything carrying the light. We couldn't see a form or anything like that. And it came down to where the caves were, in the rock face. This rock face is straight up and down, 100%. That light went across the rock face on a 5-degree angle, which was impossible. And we knew at this time there was something very, very wrong with the situation. That this is not a reality. This is something much, much different. And the light came up over the top, and there's a large gully from where it went over the top, but went straight across what appeared to be the horizon of the Mountain of Stone. And I knew that it was impossible for that light to go across because there was the gap there. Because I know the geography. I know the place like the back of my hand. And we watched this light for approximately 45 minutes. You know, what is the possibilities that it could possibly have been a person, but it couldn't have been a person, that it just couldn't happen. It was very strange. So that morning, we were working there and we had some local work people coming down, and we asked them about this light. Instantly, they said, what you saw was the Suquiya. And I want to say, what is a Suquiya? A word I've never heard in my life. The workers down there said, this is a witch. And these Suquiya are witches who take off their skin and fly around. They also suck the blood from people. So it's somewhat of a vampire kind of situation.
Local people immediately identified the light John believes he saw with the legend of the Suquiya, a witch with horrific supernatural powers. But John soon learns that the Suquiya is not the only frightening phenomenon on the island.
So the next night, it's about midnight, and Clive said, come over here, you got to see this. There's quite a hill that comes down, and it was just absolutely incredible. On this hill was a fire burning off the ground by about 4 feet. And around that fire were 4 kind of like little people. They were approximately 4 feet in height, and they're dancing around the fire. And I very vividly remember they're dancing, their feet were going up and down, almost like they were sort of prancing. And they were somewhat translucent. And the fire that was burning was not a bright fire. It also seemed to be somewhat translucent. I guess the closest way I could describe it, they were like forms. Now this is about 70 feet away, so it's very close, very clear. There was nothing obstructing vision. There wasn't anything in the way to create a reflection or anything like that. At first, there was a little bit of fear. I was very curious. We watched it for a good half hour, and Clive was going to go sort the situation out. I said, Clive, don't. Let these things, whatever they are, continue to do what they're doing. We'll just go to bed. So we went to bed, and the next day, I went to exactly where that site was. And I searched the ground. I was down on my hands and knees. I was looking for ash. I was looking for a cinder. I was looking for anything to show evidence of any kind of fire there whatsoever. And there was nothing. No evidence of any type of disturbance. And it was funny because when the guys came down to work that morning, and we spoke to them about the fire and how I searched the ground and stuff like that, they just, you know, you're not going to find anything. There won't be anything. You know, I've had an opportunity to put a lot of thought into it, and the best that I could figure out was the fire was burning off the ground by approximately 4 feet. How could that possibly happen? Well, due to the fact Dominica has a huge amount of rain, and there's a lot of erosion. Potentially 1,000 years ago, that fire would have been burning right on the ground. As for the 4 little people that were dancing around the fire, many, many years before, that was an Indian encampment. And I started thinking, that somehow or another what we saw those nights were spirits of the First Nations people. And it certainly goes to show that it was an incredible situation in my life that I will never forget.
John believes the dancers he saw are connected to Dominica's native population. Our experts tell us that early Europeans took the land of the native people and worked or hunted them down to the verge of extinction. Perhaps the four spirits John claims to see are doomed to dance forever on land that is no longer theirs. In North and South America, ghost stories are often linked to native culture. Though First Nations people were brutally conquered, their spiritual beliefs didn't necessarily disappear. Instead, they became part of the region's ghostly lore. Newfoundland is the most concentrated site of ghostly legends in Canada. The many sailors and fishermen lost at sea provide restless souls for thousands of ghost stories. As well, a large part of Newfoundland's population comes originally from Ireland, the most ghostly corner of the British Isles. It's believed that the Irish brought their supernatural legends with them to the New World.
The impact of what was seen on those two occasions down there, the impact certainly makes it quite clear to me that there is something else. And what it is, how you get there, I don't know. But there's a window or there's a door, and there is something on the other side.
Go get you some magic, people. It's out there. Get your cookie, too. Get you one of them cookies. Eat a good cookie. Treat yourself right. You know? That's my advice. Eat a cookie. Treat yourself right. Believe in the magic. If you can't find it, create it. Just a little bit. Doesn't take much. I think it ripples out. But this guy, the stuff he's seeing, wow, right? So, Vixen, how much do you know about, had you ever heard of, this is right up your dark little alley, isn't it? This guy, seeing this, what was it? This vampiric, shape-shifting witch that drains your blood? I'd never heard of it before, had you? Vixen said,
no one on me.
let me see if I can find that again. Vixen described it. But I believe he said he was, where was he, in Bali? Where did he say he was? Some island, wasn't he? And saw that, and then later on saw a bunch of Native Americans dancing around a fire. You know, I'm glad they left them alone, because those, like I heard here in this chat, they deserve to be there. Just, you know, let them bless it on from the other side. I can't find it now, but I'd never heard of it before. That light that was bebopping around. A Suclear? Here we go. Here we go. Well, I'm getting close. I feel it. Here we go. Found it. Told you I felt it. A Sucree? A vampiric woman, a shapeshifter. Sucree. That's kind of like that Spearfinger, Steve.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want to meet one in a dark alley. Me either. Me either. All right. So that was wild. And I don't know. I think I would have really been, if I saw something like that. I've been hearing a lot of stories. In fact, there's a couple more that they put out that had to do with tribal hauntings, and also, you know, Native American, of course, you know, same thing. And being on land. And that was one of the first things, I think, when I realized I could do psychometry, but not when I want to. It's not like on demand. It's only like when it's, you know, and I catch it. But when it really hit me was when I was climbing the mountain. In fact, Montesano Mountain. by a waterfall, lots of water rushing, moving water. And I sat on a rock and I got real quiet and I was listening to the birds. I was listening to the water. I was watching my kids, but they were far enough to us barely hear them talking. And I put my hands palm down on this rock. And it was like I was, I don't know how else to explain it. It's like somebody flipped a switch. It's like when somebody flipped a switch on a shop vac. You know what I mean? It's just a weird. All of a sudden, everything's just about suction. You know, and just you get that feeling. That's what it feels like. And you see it, and I could see almost like I was a male Native American going back in time. I could see my knees, I could see my feet, and I could see what he was looking at. And it's his family at the base of this river, which is much wider and much deeper at the time. And just for a flash, because I believe that a lot of that is in the rock, Steve. You too?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you what, they were good stories. You know, what you going to be up to this week?
I've got a video coming out tomorrow. Secret
Yep, kinda
surprise.
like an
I'm going to
improv.
have a members chat tomorrow.
Say that again, Steve. You're going to have what?
a members chat, channel members chat. Going to have that tomorrow, and I've got a
Very
video
cool.
premiering sometime tomorrow, and working on a lot of things. Another episode of the radio show in the works. Working on
That was so much fun.
several
That was
books.
so much fun last time.
Cisco's been my guest over there 3 times now, and just keep people wanting to come back because we have such a good time.
I'm going for
talking
the gold
together.
star. I want the gold star at the end of the year, most visited.
Yeah, there you go. You're in the top of the running right now.
Biggest jabber honor. Biggest jabber,
And,
biggest jabber mouth.
if you're anybody's not already, please go subscribe to Among the Missing. I'm
Yes, please.
right now 297 away from 100,000.
I had been where in the previous life? Where was I? I probably hold on. I didn't do it. What? Where what? I wasn't there. It wasn't me. I know.
She
It's
didn't
just
do it. Nobody saw her do it. You can't prove a thing.
it's just amazing. Like,
Bart
you
Simpson.
know, first of all, I'd love to thank our friend. You can't say across the water because there isn't any, through the woods, in Canada, because they put out some good ghost paranormal shows. There's several that they put out that I've had the chance to
There's some good
see,
ones
and they're
from
all
down
good.
under, too. The Australians and the New
Yes.
Zealanders, they put out some great shows.
And they don't get the play they should, you know, like that extraordinary. That's just every bit as good as Unsolved Mysteries. Production wise, cinematic, the way they tell it, the way they allow just the story to stand on its own without a lot of, crazy dramatic stuff. Like now, I was watching one the other night, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I believe it was probably an Unsolved Mysteries, an old one though, like in the first 3 seasons. That thing went on for like what, 14?
I love
It's still
the old
going.
Robert Stack episodes. We'll put those. We like a noise at night while we're sleeping.
Yep.
A lot of times I'll start a playlist of Unsolved Mysteries and just let them play one after another.
Yeah.
After another.
His voice. It's his voice, just like you.
It's amazing.
It's his voice. It's, like ASMR for those that do, I mean, some of them are just fabulous. I can tell you, for a long time, I'd listened to the History Channel. There was a guy on there that narrated a lot of the shows, and his voice was just the right vibration that was calming to me. It's true. You can't listen to some it's a big difference. We got to start paying attention to stuff like that, trying to draw in the positive, put out the positive, try to look for the magic. There's a lot of black magic out there too, folks. I'm telling you, whether you're looking for it or not, it's out there, right, Steve?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. We've all seen it, which is why I'm on here night after night after night, just pounding it forward to say, light is the answer, because you have to have it to the point of, it's like I want to say muscle memory, but for your mind. So I don't know, mind memory, you know.
Could be. Well, your brain's a muscle too, so so
Right, there you go.
maybe.
Muscle memory to the fact of, because when you need this kind of stuff, when you need to try to understand it, you're usually going through some kind of surprise event, some kind of trauma, a hard time, a left turn in your life where we're like, oh gosh, I thought this was a U-turn, when you're looking for the way off, because you need to know it. Just like this young lady in the story there, where she was saying, look, when I needed it, bam, I knew what to do, and it worked before. I'm doing it again, and it worked. And in a trauma time, when she lost her child, and that's if you ever, that panic that just, that parent panic. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. I've had it happen to me several times. One time, I'll tell you the story real quick because it's just, Americana. So we're at this water park. And my son's, range in age is 6 and 8, something like that. Maybe a little younger, 7 and 5. And the youngest one, I had a hold of, had a towel around his neck. And I was big on crowds, boy. I had them, they were like little skaters, little skaters are real big, skateboarders. And I got these little hats, and they were like a neon color. This is before everybody was getting neon hot, orange t-shirts and things like this. This is go back. And I could see them, and they always wore these hats in the water, everything else. I could see the heads, and I could see my colors, and I knew where they were, fast, because you just pick that color out. So anyway, he's got a towel around his neck, and I got a hold of the towel, and I'm talking to somebody. And I look down, and he says something, and I said something to him, and I look back, and I talked to whoever this was, and I got a hold of the towel. And when I looked back, I still had the towel, and he wasn't in it. And I just, you look, and then it digs in again. And you're like, now you're really shooting. Now you're starting to yell and everything else. Well, I can remember my son being old enough for me to send him over to the booth and tell him to lock down that exit and tell him to send out, I got a lost kid, because I'm looking, we're not finding him. And this went on and on, enough to be a panic. Don't let him leave. This is what he looks like. I got a picture of him. I'm showing it to people. This is how bad it got. And somebody, because of that hat, he never took off the hat, found him. He had wandered off and gotten to the kiddie. He decided he was going to go to the kiddie section of the park and be in the pool by himself. But I remember that being the longest time I was ever searching for a lost child, and that panic, and you're just trying to stay on point and trying to do, be methodical about it. And you can't, because you're so covered in emotion and fear and panic, But yeah, one of the workers found him because of the hat. And she came walking up smiling with him, just like nothing ever happened. He was just chill. He's like, what's the problem? Little, oh, man, no parent should have to go through that for any length of time. So that's why I respect what you do, Steve. And
Yeah.
thanks for being out there, and all your listeners and everything else, everybody that's passing along the word, and that's magical. If you can connect somebody or get another piece of evidence, or, help somebody over or whatever. And that's what we try to do here too. Everything we show tries to say, look, here's more evidence that something's going on. Life goes on, miracles do happen. Positivity works, light works, and it's the only thing and only way out of the darkness. So I think that's important to remember right now. How about you,
Indeed.
Steve?
Absolutely, especially this time of year.
Yes, and I love your tree, and our love to your lovely wife and Mr. Mulder as well. And happy holidays. You doing anything special for the holidays coming up, my friend?
Yeah, but I'm not sure what just yet. We've got some ideas, so.
Well, don't forget to leave cookies and milk out for Santa, and a couple carrots
indeed.
too. And a
And
couple of
write
carrots too.
write him a letter if you want to.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
see if he writes you a letter back.
I don't know, gatekeepers. Y'all going to be on the good list or the naughty list? You know, I guess
I'm
that
definitely on
depends
the
on.
naughty list this year.
I guess that depends on how you define naughty. Right, Steve?
Yeah,
It all
it's
depends.
an
It's just
expected
all relative.
naughtiness.
It's all
I'm a
relative.
newlywed. I got to be naughty. What can I say?
Oh, there you go. That's what I said. It all depends on how you define naughty, you know, and who's looking anyway, right, guys? So everybody take care. We'll see you next week. I got some great things coming up. I got the wonderful um different holiday shows coming up. I'm trying to reach out to a lot of people, and I don't want to say I don't want to say anything about some of them because I want to be sure that they can be here. It's a busy time of year, and I want to get all that solid. But we got some fun stuff coming up, don't we, Steve? One I
Yeah,
think
we
is going to
do.
be really good. Yeah.
No spoilers, but that one in about 2 weeks is going to be amazing. 2 weeks from yesterday, I think. Now, is that likely to change because of Jesse James' wedding?
You know what? No, because it's a Saturday. Their wedding is on a Saturday,
So we're in
and
the clear.
everything
But you'll want to be
it's
here
beautiful,
for it.
baby. It's Christmas magic. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. I mean, hell yeah. You had me at gathering together and celebrating love in a world full of, batshit crazy. Hell yeah, I'm all about it. Light the candles, kick the fires, baby. I'm on my way. What do I wear? What do you need? You know, I had to call. You know what? I had the nerve. I'm the typical. Listen, I've never had one of my youngins get married before. This is the first time. This is my oldest. This is my baby. This is my firstborn. And I called up his lovely bride today, and I had, because I'm trying not to be a pain in the ass. I'm the one look, I'm your best bud. This is, here we go. And anyway, I called her up and I said, "Hey, quick question. You don't mind if I wear black to the wedding, do you?" And she said, "Hell no, I don't mind." And I said, "All right. I just wanted to let you know." Because I said, I just wanted to be perfectly clear. It's a color, not a statement. You know what I'm saying? She
It's
said,
an
"No."
attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, because,
Black
look, I
is the
said,
new black.
I said, listen, I'm thinking about it. Look, I'm going to tell you the same thing I've told every bride I've ever talked to that'll allow me to help. It's all about the pictures. How does it look in the pictures? Don't spend money on things that don't matter, because everything that lasts is the pictures and the memories. So spend a lot of time on the memory and make sure the pictures look good. So everybody, if you don't want to save money, everybody wear one color, and the easiest color to wear is all white, which, you kind of shy away from tradition, or black, because you can tell anybody, pick out something black out of your closet and wear it. Something you feel comfortable in,
Yeah.
and give them a single rose and have them stand next to a bride with a beautiful bouquet and a handsome looking,
Black goes with
rest of
anything.
the crew.
And black doesn't
Pictures
show
are
dirt unless it's
gorgeous.
really dirty. So you can
And the pictures are gorgeous, and your color stands out,
have
and
that
you're framed
monochrome look.
beautifully.
Black jacket, black tie, black shirt, black pants, belt, and shoes,
Yep.
socks. Just
Yep. And
a vision in black.
So economy, instead of going the old tradition of going out and having people who can't afford it go out and spend now probably $200-300 on a hot pink chiffon with crinoline, big bow on the ass, off one shoulder number, you know what I mean? Some god awful color. And you got to go and you got to get it, the fittings, and then they got to pay for it, and you never wear it again. Where are you going to wear it? To Kroger? But if you've already got something and it's black, goes with black,
Yeah.
it's a simple way to choose, but you can't say wear teal, because there's 10,000 different visions of what teal is. That's why you pick black, even red will be off, won't look right, just go black, and then put your color on top of it, especially in a winter wedding, or all white.
You know what really looks good? black everything, but with a red tie. That really sets
That's
it
what they're
up.
doing. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
How about that?
That's what they're doing. I can show you the picture of the tie. The tie is banging, and and again, same phone call. I said, hey, you got two standing up there. I said, how about have you thought about it? She says, nope. And I said, how about they have them already? I said, black button-up shirt, red tie.
Yeah.
Let me I do a signature boutonniere. You know what a boutonniere is like for the side, that crazy floppity thing that's usually on a jacket and everybody's all, and it gets crushed from all the chest bumping and the hugging.
That's a lapel. There's a buttonhole
on the
there.
lapel. That's what it's for. Well, it's not what it's for. It usually was for the button, back in the day, and for looks and fashion. But that's where the gangsters would all put the red carnation or whatever in the buttonhole right there. That's exactly it. But it's called a boutonniere.
And pinky rings and fedoras for everybody.
Yeah. Hey, it's not a bad look. So, but that's the thing, is tradition that, listen, they're throwing down good money for these things. I mean, the average out here, $15 a piece for a rose to pin on your, and upwards. I've seen them upwards of, $50.
How about black roses? Have you got access to black roses?
Yes, I can make those. Yes.
There you go.
They grow them. Black Baccara is very, very close to black, but it's not. It's a burgundy. So, but you can tell in the highlights of it are kind of burgundy. And there's another one that's a purple. Yeah, there's another one that's a purple. There's close to all black. They're almost close, but it has a highlight to it. But Black Baccara is the prettiest. But anyway, so I told him I do this signature thing that isn't a boutonniere. It's more of a tie tack. And I said, I'll do those. And the cool part about it is I used to do a lot of wedding shows. When you do wedding shows like I did with, multiple bouquets, multiple boutonnieres, multiple table centerpieces, and all these like creations and bouquets, like knock your socks off, I'm telling you. And I would always use if you have kids, they're in the show, so they would model all this stuff. And he would only wear the boutonniere tie tack that I made up because it was minimal. And it just looked good with it. No jacket, just a nice button-up shirt, maybe a vest, and this tie tack with a boutonniere on it. And that's the only thing he would model for me, and that's what he's wearing to his wedding.
How about that?
Isn't that something? It's sweet. It's very cool. See?
It is.
There's magic in everything. All right, man. I love you, dude. So listen, get you in the mood. Here's a chill little tune. And listen, think about writing cards. Think about, maybe making the recipe or I don't care. I won't judge you if you make fruitcake, just don't send me one. I think it's very cool that they did that to preserve stuff, but I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea now. Go ahead, make the
Everybody
fruitcake.
hates on fruitcake. I like a good fruitcake.
Do you?
Old-fashioned ones.
Well, maybe I've
It's
never had a
acquired
good one.
taste for sure, but it's not the worst gift I've ever gotten.
Have you ever gotten the one where it's passed around the family like several several
I've had some
several
that
Christmases?
I think it was like a brick in there. It wasn't very
Use it as a
fresh.
doorstop. Use that as a Christmas doorstop. Put a bow
That's
on it.
all.
Just put a bow on it, Steve. Just put a bow on it. My love to the missus and Mr. Mulder. Here, this might get y'all in the mood. Enjoy a little bit of this. I love y'all.
Good night, everybody.
everybody.
See you next week.
Good night.